I heard money don't grow on trees, but I still believe I can achieve. Cause cash rules everything around me, around me, around me, around me. Money don't grow on trees, but I still believe.
Hey, this is Jerome Love with the Black Money Tree, and I am here to give you another Money Tree mini class. Now, this lesson that I'm going to tell you today was taught to me by Hurricane Beryl. Now, for many of you that haven't been following me, I invest in real estate in older, underserved communities in Houston, Texas, and we just experienced a hurricane. This has actually been the third hurricane that I've experienced, but this one taught me a valuable lesson, and I think that any landlord that's trying to invest and have long-term rental properties need to know this lesson. But before I share with you this lesson that you need to know, let me tell you a little bit about the Black Money Tree and how I approach real estate investing. Number one, when you're investing in real estate, the main thing that you want to know is the numbers. You're looking at your return on investment. So a lot of people say, Jerome, why don't you buy one of these older or newer or more developed communities? I prefer the older neighborhoods. Why do I prefer the older neighborhoods? When you have an older neighborhood, you have older homes, and typically you can get a better price. In addition, in a lot of these older, underserved neighborhoods, it deters a lot of people. Some people are scared of the neighborhood. So the particular house that you're looking at right now, this was the first house that I bought. I bought it for $10,000 with $25,000 down, and then it rented for $900 a month. Off the bat, I'm making 33% on my money, so you can't beat the return. Now, in business and in real estate investing, there are a lot of lessons that you're gonna learn along the way, and I wanna share with you one of the important lessons that I learned through Hurricane Beryl. So, when I started in real estate, for instance, I bought this house here. My thought process was anything that wasn't broke, don't fix it. So if the window opened, I was gonna keep that window. If there were no major leaks, I wouldn't mess with the roof. But over time, and specifically on the inside of the house, if the plumbing worked, I would leave it alone, even though I know the standard right now is PVC and the PEX piping. If it had the old steel pipes and it was functional, I would use it. But over time, what I found is the maintenance calls that I would start to get, it would always be about the plumbing. So I started to realize that when I'm buying the property, when I have it gutted, why don't I just replace the plumbing on the front end? Then I said, well, if I got the walls open up, replace the plumbing and replace the electrical. Then I said, oh, once I built a couple of my new homes, I started to work with custom cabinets. I started understanding that buying the Home Depot cabinets and figuring out and piecemealing them together, that would cost me $1,000, but the custom cabinets would cost me $1,800, and they look better, and you could say you had custom cabinets. So I started putting in custom cabinets. So as I've grown, I've evolved. So if any of you have watched any of my master classes, you know what I tell you. The first thing that I look for when I'm looking at a house, I look to the left and I look to the right. Why do I do that? Because I want to know what's in the area, what's in the neighborhood. If you have an old raggedy beat up house on your left and an old raggedy beat up house or a pit bull tied to a stake on your right, guess what? The type of tenants that you're gonna get in are gonna be the type of tenants that's comfortable with that environment. So that means your rent's probably gonna be lower, and you're probably gonna have a little bit more wear and tear on your property. But on the other hand, if you have a house where the yard is maintained and it's a retired couple, or in this one on the other side, it's more well kept and maintained, you can assume that you're gonna be able to get in a higher quality tenant and you're gonna have higher rent. So that's the number one thing I look for. In terms of structure, I look for a sound structure. You want the foundation to be good, you want the roof to be good, but if it's not, you can put a new roof on. And keep in mind, any of the things that I look for, someone told me that there's no problem that a proper price reduction can't cure. So any of the things that I'm sharing, it's not to say that you won't buy the property, but you just need to be aware of it and make sure you price it accordingly. So I would look at the structure. As long as it had a sound structure, as long as it was functional, I would buy the property. But after I would buy the house, replace the siding, do the roof. Once I kind of learned about construction, I would gut it. I would put in new plumbing. I would put in new electrical, new floors, new tubs. It would be a brand new house. So typically when I invest in a house, I'm in over $100,000. So after I've invested $100,000, the last thing I want to do is cut down trees. But what I've learned from Hurricane Beryl is that when you're investing in older neighborhoods, it comes with older trees, which means bigger trees. And these trees can do some major damage. As you can see, this one here, luckily it fell into the street and it didn't damage the house in any way. But there are so many of my other properties and so many houses in the area where the trees did some major damage. One of mine, which we're gonna go take a look at, fell on the weatherhead, so my electrical's not working. All right, so this one here, this one has some major property damage. As you can see, we already cut down the trees that was all on top of it. We got a few shingles that have been blown away and that are missing. But the main issue here, the tree actually, there's still some dangling lines, the tree actually fell on top of the weatherhead here. So as you can see, George is up there right now fixing the weatherhead. For those of you who don't know, the weatherhead is what allows you to get the electrical power to your house. So when the tree fell on that, it pulled the weatherhead down. So like I say, trees can cause a lot of damage. Now eventually, as you can see all of these trees here, when I bought the house, most of these trees were here. I said no problem. But Hurricane Beryl has taught me that these trees can cause some major problems. So now I showed you the second house that I bought. Now I'm gonna show you the last one. As you can see, there's a stark difference here. We didn't replace the roof. The roof was good. The roof is not really about aesthetics, it's about functionality. So it looks like it's in good shape, didn't want to spend that money. But as you can see, I replaced all the siding. We painted it so it has a nice pop to it, a great curb appeal. So this one is structurally sound, it's painted, it's cleaned, it looks good. We replaced all the windows. The windows have a way of really making the house look more attractive, but also in older homes with older windows, typically this is where a lot of your moisture comes in and the wood gets rotting around here. And when it rains, stuff gets in and you'll have some sheetrock damage and the wood will be rotting and things of that nature. Now let's go inside so you can kind of get a feel for the way they look. So in this one here, you can tell it's all fresh paint, all new floors. Everything in here is redone. This one in particular, the granite was already done on it, but typically I'm gonna put in granite now. These aren't the custom cabinets that I told you about, but they were already in here. They were functional, so I did leave them. But as you can see, it's a nice home. What we did with this one in particular, this was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and we added a bedroom here. So over here, we added this bedroom. You can see the new floors, fresh paint, and we added a bathroom as well, because this was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Now it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So I've increased the rent, increased the value, and it's cash flowing to this day. As you can see, there's another really big tree over here that you can see. And the interesting thing about this tree, you can see that this is my house here. This is my neighbor's house. So the tree is actually on my neighbor's property, but the branches are hanging over my property. Now, just another side note, since I bought this house, these people have been trying to get me to cut that tree down, even though it's on their property. Because when you're in real estate, everybody assumes you're the landlord, you got a bunch of properties, you have a bunch of money. But that's not necessarily the case. But I just wanted to share with you, I know in the past I've told you how I invest in all the work that I do, and I've kind of downplayed the landscaping and particularly the trees. Normally, I would just cut any limbs off of my property. I didn't want any damage to my roof, but Hurricane Beryl is making me rethink my whole strategy because these trees can do a lot of damage. Now, that's our lesson for today. If you'd like to have more tips on investing in real estate, growing your wealth, make sure you subscribe. And you can also click a link in the description where you can book a consulting call with me. And I have no problem with coming out, talking to you, walking you through your strategy, because I want to help you to build wealth so that you can build your community. Till next time,